This year, the Delta State government signed a major memorandum of understanding to see how they can bring about power in the state. And many will say it looks as if maybe we're underutilizing the power that seems to be embedded in Delta State, with the issue of the Transcom company right there in Ughelli not giving up or not doing more as it concerns the industrialization of this state when it comes to the issue of power. So how critical is power in actually helping to revamp some of these alien industries? And not only that, but to bring about more wanting to come and invest in Delta State. What should the Delta State government do to fast track some of these blueprints they've already put in place in the issue of power generation in the state?
Mike, you see, one thing we must understand is that power is very expensive.
That we know.
Yes, sir. Fine. The Delta State government is entering into MOUs with organizations to ensure that we have a stable power supply in Delta State, which encourages business. You see, I will advocate where the state will commit some of its resources trying to subsidize power to local businesses. Major businesses can pay because it's very expensive, Mike. You see, currently, even in our Warrior and environment here, most people in the band A, they say the power stays for close to a week and 2 weeks without major interruption. It's just some few fluctuations and they come back. But Mike, it's expensive. You see, that's why we are saying when business thrives, the Delta State economy will thrive, will grow. Yes, sir. Local investors. So, like the steel company that we say is coming. When it starts to operate, a lot of local businesses, SMEs will begin to grow. We must talk about security of lives and property.
I'll plead with you. I'll plead with you to hold your thoughts as it concerns the issue of security of life and property. And I still want us to remain with the issue of power. Because recently, the Delta State Economic Summit that was staged just some couple of weeks ago also dealt with this issue of power, knowing that Delta State have about 3,000 megawatts of power generated in this state alone. 3,000. Installed capacity of 3,000. But the bottleneck have always been the issue of distribution. That is where the problem lies, especially with the summit that was held recently. The paper to say that the issue is not the generation of power, but proper distribution of this power seem to be the issue that is impending the full industrialization of this state. The government have put up a roadmap during that summit. But how really important is it that communities in the hinterland get this power to help Mike, also bring about that change?
Mike, you see, there is I think Benin Electricity Distribution Company. Domiciled in Delta State. You see, yes, so if the Delta State government wants to develop, we must legislate, we must do something about that. Because, Mike, you mentioned alien equipment.
Oh, most certainly.
Transformers. Do you know that Deltans persuade transformers for themselves? And you are compelled to donate it to the Benin Electricity Distribution Company. Even personally, I bought cables. Now, one of the major problems we have as related to power, there are no meters to meter consumption.
Most of them are still estimated billing.
Most of them are still estimated billing, which is a fraud
in itself.
So, how do you expect communities, estates, business owners to purchase transformers for themselves and then donate it to BDC,
a private-owned facility.
And the next minute, BDC is asking you to pay bills without considering that you have spent huge amounts.
Should the Delta State government not come on that ground, apart from interacting with the BEDC, but make provision for some of these transformers rather than making the citizens be the bearer of the cost?
There was a time, Mike, that the Delta State government, even the Niger Delta Development Organization, were giving
NDDC
transformers to communities and states in the Niger Delta. Also, the Delta State government was also giving out transformer. But Mike, the question arises: do we really buy transformers for a private-owned organization, infrastructures? If state government is going to buy, gentlemen, let us sit down on the table and have a memorandum of understanding. We don't buy equipment for you and you collect money and put it in your private bank. While the state is expanding money, huge investment. It's a profit-oriented investment. It's not a loss investment.
Security and peace. Because without peace or security, those investments will definitely not be, and many investors will be scared of wanting to invest in your state. So there's this new ginger, allow me say it that way, that the Delta State government is now having to bring back most of these companies back to Delta State. But if there is no security, we doubt if that dream will come to reality. Now, how really important is security in making Delta
You see, most of the oil companies that were operating in Delta State, they were operating in an environment, a friendly environment, receptive environment, hospitable environment. But there was a divide and rule approach by the oil giants.
Okay.
And when you use divide and rule, eventually you find yourself in trouble. One of the major things you must understand in Delta State, as a state, we have multi-ethnic nationalities. You must respect the boundaries, the traditional institutions, our political divide. You must respect them.
All of that.
When you respect them, you find out that you are operating in a very conducive, hospitable environment. So, the oil giants, they have their own portion of blame. You understand? And you see, we must be fair in our approach to these issues. We must be equitable. There must be justice. You understand? We don't just select a few and empower. Mind you, others are watching. And people are growing up.
And questions are being asked. This leads to uprisings. And these are what led to the uprising in the region. That made them to go out in effect.
And they went out. But their gas assets, their other assets are still here. Domicile in Delta State. The state government say, please come to Delta. Our present governor is doing very, very well. He's a determined man to say, look, in his inaugural ceremony, at his inaugural speech, he said he will pay a particular attention to Warri and Environs.
So he said.
And if you watch the man, he's opening up the space. The corridors are being opened. And he's weighing in investors. One, again, I must give it to the traditional institutions. You see, you find out that the traditional rulers around Warri, the Shekiri, the Robos, the Jaws, they are all coming together. Because by our hands, we threw out investment from our state. So, you see our traditional rulers now coming together. Warri Unity Football, there are groups that have formed the old Warri system. Let's come back and build our place. We don't have any other place. Mike, a rich neighbor is a peaceful neighbor. You eat, I eat. It's a peaceful environment. But if only one person is eating and the others are feeling hungry, you'll be threatened.
Now, still talking about threatening, I know you gave kudos to the traditional institution in the state, which is a good one, especially with the recent move during the 5th coronation of His Majesty Ogiame Atuashe the third, CFR, the Oluofori. Let's come to another major one, and we're still talking about the issue of security. Recently, there's a call for proper profiling of aliens. Forgive my language for calling them aliens that are being taken into the states. And many are saying with the recent onslaught of the Nigerian military in the northeast, northwest, and north central, most of these criminal elements are now finding easy ground in either the southeast, southwest, or funny enough, in this south here. And there should be proper profiling of these persons. How really important is that if we still also would not want to create issues of insecurity, just like what we saw in Oyo State most recently? So how important is the issue of not just only accommodating these persons, but doing a proper profiling of these persons so we do not live from one problem and go into another problem of insecurity?
Mike, if from the recent conversation that the governor had with the delegation that came from Kuru Jos.
Yes, Kuru.
He was talking about intelligence
gathering and sharing.
And intelligence form of security.
Okay.
You see, security have transcended putting men on ground or using brute force, which is expensive on its own.
And could backfire.
So, one, Mike, we must create trust between communities, traditional institutions, and the political class.
Okay.
There must be a trust, and even with the security architecture.
Okay.
Because a lot of our people, they fail to share informations to security architecture because of reprisal and all that. Now, Mike, you see, when we talk about profiling, intelligence will help you gather data. We buy drones. We have CCTVs. We can predict an event, a security violation, and quickly deploy intelligence method to address such breaches. Then, you see, our traditional institutions must be involved in the security. Our local communities
most certainly
must, like I've once said, Mike, in a community, when we see a stranger, somebody that's not part of us, we know and we report it and we put it down. So when we share between our local vigilantes, the traditional institutions, our community individuals who are willing to share information to their traditional heads or their community, CDC, chairman and all that.
Executives.
To some extent, we're doing intelligent gathering. And we have a method at which we can share amongst ourselves. To that extent, to a long extent, we've been able to curb insecurity in our place.
So that's what the governor was trying to emphasize.
Thank God, you see, the government of the state, the governor of the state has been advocating for investors. With the recent investor summit they had, there's a cry for investors
to come.
Mike, if investors come, it therefore means more jobs for our citizens. More jobs eliminate crime.
Okay. So they go pari passu.
Mike, jobs, when you create jobs for our young adults, our thriving population, you eliminate, to some extent, crime. Because a man that wakes up, go to work, and come back, and he knows that at the end of the month or in every 2 weeks, he get paid. Mike, like they say, an idle mind
is a
devil's workshop. When such minds are engaged, except you are really very bad, what will make you be thinking of going into crime? Or you will not be a willing tool for recruits
Being recruited into criminality.
Into criminality. So, you see, we have so many educational institutions in Delta State. Tertiary and secondary institutions. When our children start going to school, when we reduce the out of school dropouts and encourage them to go to school, and the state is coming up with business activities, agriculture, health, name it, technology,
blue economy,
the blue economy. Like I was also before we end our conversation, I was going to say the state government should not stop on only the DSC. We should also encourage the federal government to dredge our waterways so that big vessels can come. Because most times, big vessels, if you want to export steel, you want to be a giant in Africa, you carry them through water, through the vessels. So the channels must be opened. And mind you, this is a message for investors and all that. Delta State is safe. We're hospitable. Julius Berger has been working in Warri for over 2 years.
2 years now.
We have not had any incident of kidnapping or whatever. Because we all have realized that we should stop embarrassing ourselves and stop some of these things that gives us a bad name or image internationally and locally. I also want to advise that the state government should do more in inviting international organizations which are doing. They are all in Nigeria.
Yeah, I know. Most of them.
Embassies, ambassadors, bring them to our states. Let's have conversation. It will send an international message that the place is not as bad it used to be, or as you understand what I'm saying.
Bad to be portrayed.
As being portrayed. No, the people are okay. I want to see a Warri or a Delta State where expatriates will walk our streets again. They'll go to our local bars and restaurants to eat. Buka to eat. That would be a thriving state, and it will benefit every one of us.
Well, anyway, that's what our wish and indeed our need for discussion today is. And we're talking about how can this state move from a civil service dominated state to that of industrialization. And that has been our focus of discussion. And honestly, we've been talking for close to an hour, and hence we need to go. But we'll not go without saying a big thank you to no other but Mr. Austin Owusewa JP. I still would love to call him comrade. But anyway, let's wait for him being a doctor, and then we'll have to put his name to it and ensure that we call him properly. But the most proper thing for us to do is to say a word of thank you. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation on short notice and coming to add your voice to the growing demand by Delta for more industrialization of the state, especially with the revamping and revival of the DSC Alaja. And not only that, but the NPA also is in every way being looked at to see how they can revive the ailing economy of the state. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Well, anyway, it's more like a wrap for us today on the show. Yes, it's always interesting, but it will never be complete if we do not have your say as it concerns this major discussion we've had, especially as Deltans. What should this government do to ensure that more investors come? What should be done by this administration to ensure that the peace that is being sustained remains, so at least it can drag in more investors and the big hats will be in for the gain of it? But all the same, send your messages to our different social media platforms. Funny enough, they are there already on your screen. Do a like, share, and indeed post so that we get to get involved in making dialogue trend. But I still remain Michael Badia. God bless you. I will stick around. The news will come pretty soon. And you do know it's a Friday edition of Viewpoint. More